So for those of you who haven't been following it or can't remember, see if you can work out White's best move. I'll give you 30 seconds or so, and then David will hopefully have the recording going and we can start the lesson.
Yep,
We've already got my answer.
We're recording now. We've got Andrew and Anthony unmuted.
All right, Anthony.
Hello.
Excellent. How are you today, Andrew?
I'm
There,
good.
Andrew?
Yeah, I think so. I'm here.
Excellent. Have you been following the World Championship or not?
Not really. I've had homework. But I've been playing
Okay, fair
chess.
enough. Oh, well, that's nearly as good. So, Anthony, you've been following it?
Yes, I have. I watched the game on Saturday live. I was coming up with my own ideas.
Right.
It's very, very interesting. It's very, very good. I've seen every single one of the games. I particularly like this game. This particular one, which was the first one, was very, very tactical, and I quite like how after King, let's see, moved his king to f7, and then knight took f6, just to completely open it up, put the rook on the h file, which was a very nice one.
Interesting.
It was very good.
All right, so Anthony's written in the solution. Andreas says he's seen it too. Anyone else want to type in the solution if they know what to play as white to get a win? This was Topalov was white, wasn't he? And Anand
yes, he was.
We're talking about the World Championship being played in Bulgaria at the moment between Anand from India, who's the world champion, and he's playing a 12-game match to defend his title against the Bulgarian Grandmaster Topalov. And Topalov certainly got off to a flyer in this game. I'll give you the solution seeing no one else is typing in an answer. The solution is rook takes c8. Check. You can do it in your head. Now, if rook takes rook, then rook to d7 check, king e8, and rook takes on d4 with a discovered check, winning the queen. So that's no good. And if rook takes c8 on the first move, if king takes, we play queen c1 check, threatening queen c7 mate. So black has to interpose with the knight. Then bishop takes knight, skewers the queen and the rook. Black can swap off queens by queen e3, but he'll still end up a piece down after bishop takes rook at the end. So that was a very nice tactic. Now, Anthony, when have you been following the games live or afterwards?
Well, the ones I can follow it live. I've only followed one of them live. I followed the one on Saturday live.
I've been trying to follow them live. They start at 10 o'clock each night. And what is really good is try to guess the moves of the players before they actually play it. So you're like, develop a piece maybe?
I think knight c3.
Knight c3. Topalov thinks knight f3.
No, that's fine too.
So you're close, but not quite the same. All right. Anthony, Andrew, we're going to do something similar.
We're going to eat the pawn.
Or are you after that pawn?
Yep, I'm going to eat that pawn.
You're desperate to eat the pawn. Okay, well if you're trying to guess Anand's moves, so far we're not going too well.
I'm supposed to be guessing.
He plays knight f6 as well, developing his piece. So. Yeah, you're helping the world champion. You're playing for him, trying to guess his moves or think of an even better move. Okay. Anthony, what are we going to do now? Do we keep
I reckon we'll develop it. Yeah, I reckon we develop another piece. The other knight c3.
Yes, very good. I just played it. Now, one thing to note is walking around lots of junior tournaments and stuff, I'm watching kids play, and they sort of bat their bishops really early in the game when it's not apparent what the best square for the bishop is. The general rule of thumb is we develop knights before bishops, and we put the knights on the best square, which normally is on the third rank, f3, c3, f6, whatever. So in this game, the two best players in the world, they've developed 3 knights, and they've left their bishops inside for the moment. So that's just one thing to bear in mind, that when in doubt, develop your horses first. Okay, we'll go back to Andrew. What do we want to do here, Andrew?
I assume I'm not allowed
to take his pawn. We could maybe play e6 or move our bishop out. You can do what you like.
I'm assuming I'm not supposed to take the pawn.
You still want the pawn?
I could try,
No,
but it's probably not. It's probably not the right move, though.
So you reckon you give it a go?
All
right, here
yeah,
we go.
I'll try and get the pawn again. Hello?
He's taken the pawn. D takes
yes,
c4 was
right.
the man's move. Okay, interesting. So Anthony, we're a pawn down. What are we going to do?
Well, my
We
usual
try and get it
response.
back. Should we seize the centre with e4?
My usual response is e4. I'm not sure.
Are you worried about him playing b5 though and hanging onto his pawn?
No, because I don't see the problem with playing,
What if
let's
he
say,
plays
a4.
b5?
I play a4.
Then he might play b4.
Then I just move my knight out the way and I
Go
still have
knight
control of the
a2,
centre.
And you're attacking 2 pawns at once. But your e-pawn is dropping because your knight was protecting it. So it could be a worry. You could play e4. So what do you think Topalov played? Did he play that or something different?
I think hang on. I think he brought his queen out in this position. I think it was queen c2. I think it was queen c2.
Queen c2. Why would you want to play queen c2 in this position?
I'm not entirely sure.
We're not
I'm just
trying to play. I can remember the moves correctly.
Yes, I know. I'm thinking.
So all right. So we're not sure what we're doing.
I'm thinking bringing the bishop out, maybe do f4.
We are a pawn down.
Yep.
Hang on. Settle down. That's what I'm talking about. Where I'm going around the tournament, people are bringing bishops out all over the place. What's happened? We are a pawn down. So we either need to get it back, or we need compensation in the form of like extra development or control of the centre. And he's threatening to consolidate with b5 perhaps and hang on to his pawn. So we can make moves like bishop f4 and queen c2, but they're not really solving our problem of being a pawn down. Any ideas? I talk to you into a different move?
Yeah. There's another one. There's
How about
e6,
a4?
so e3, a4. Yeah, that works.
It's possible. What he played was a4. e4. So that's a reasonable move, isn't it? Stopping
yes,
b5.
Yes, it is. It stops
and
b5.
You can probably pick up that c pawn. And you can still play e4 probably if you get the chance. So you can understand why he played a4?
Yeah.
Okay. We're back to Andrew. Now, what are we going to do, Andrew? We need to develop some pieces, maybe?
Presumably.
What should we be thinking of here? Which piece do you think should be developed next?
How
The
about
white bishop, the black bishop, or the black knight?
maybe the black bishop?
I'm not hearing any moves.
Oh.
The black bishop, so that you can castle kingside.
Yeah, and maybe pin his knight.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the normal piece to develop next would be the black bishop, so you can castle kingside. So you're going to develop the black bishop by playing maybe e6? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what if you played e6? What's the drawback of that?
My white squared bishop is bad.
Yeah, your white squared bishop's trapped in.
Yeah.
Which may be a bit of a problem, because normally you'd play to get your kingside bishop out. So instead, what he chose was bishop f5. So that's stopping Topalov from playing e4, and now when black plays e6 to get his bishop out, his bishop will be out, white square bishop will be outside the pawn chain. What do you think of that? Hang on, everyone's been muted. David, why are we muting everyone? David, talk to me. Okay.
Have you got your sound back?
Keep on talking then. Hopefully, David. Oh.
Hello, Andreas. Have you got your sound back?
What's happened to?
David,
can you unmute Andrew and Anthony?
Yes, we just Andreas
having a problem.
and Aidan had a bit of trouble with the sound. I just want to make sure that they're back up and running now. How are you going, Andreas? Hello, Andreas. Are you back up and running? Thanks, Aidan. That's good. Andreas, how are you going?
You've just been unmuted. Are you there, Andreas? Talk to us. Say something.
All right. Hopefully he's okay again.
Can we unmute Andrew and Anthony anyway?
Andreas can't hear us. All right. I think we're just going to have to. It sounds like there's a bit of trouble with the line tonight, so we might just have to try and slow things down a bit. There tends to be problems when we're trying to talk and move pieces at the same time. So if we stick to sort of one or the other, and Robert, just be aware that there's some delay between when you speak and then when people can hear you. There might be a second or two delay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Andrew, are you back?
Keep on going.
Anthony, you back?
Yes.
Anthony,
I think so.
Yes, I can talk.
Andrew, all right. What did you think of Bishop F? What did you think of Bishop F5, Andrew? Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, what do you think of Bishop F5?
Well, it's the only... Well, it puts it on an open diagonal.
It's the bishop outside the pawn chain.
That too.
So it's a good square for a bishop?
It's a very logical move.
Yeah. All right, so let's go with that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so Anthony, back to you. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm thinking in the future I'm wanting to play e3 at some point.
E4.
I know. I'm thinking I will want to have to play e3 at some point, but I don't want to do that with my bishop still on c1. I don't necessarily want to do that with my bishop still on c1.
So you want to develop your bishop?
Yeah.
You want to develop your dark squared bishop, play e3, and play bishop takes c4?
Yeah.
Probably
that
that's
is correct.
assuming he's not doing anything in the meantime.
Yeah, well, it's just a development plan.
Okay.
I'm thinking something like bishop
that's
f4.
A thought. All right, alternative thought?
Bishop
f4. Is that where you want your bishop?
Well, I don't see the point in putting it on g5. It's hard to tell, but I don't see the point in putting it on g5. It wouldn't really achieve anything.
And you might need it to defend the b pawn and unpin the knight on c3 too at some stage. So I don't think we know where that bishop's going. So I think we've got to do something else.
So maybe we just play e3 anyway.
Any thought on a different move?
Yeah, there could be g3 and fianchetto the bishop.
Let's have a look. All right, has a move come up on the screen?
No, it has not.
Tell me when. Right,
I'll tell you when.
See what's move come up on the screen.
Knight e5. Yes, I remember this now.
Knight
He
E5.
wants to win back.
Yes.
He wants to win back the pawn on c4.
Yeah. So he wants to be certain he's going to win back that pawn. So it's a bit naughty by our beginner's rules because it's moving a piece twice in the opening when he hasn't completed his development. But there's a definite reason. There's a secondary reason which I won't tell you at the moment. All right, Andrew.
You'll tell us later?
What are we going to do here? I'll tell you later. Okay, you said you wanted to get that king bishop out, Andrew. So is e6 the appealing move, or you got something else? Andrew, talk to me.
Yeah.
We'll go with e6. All right.
Yeah.
e6, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, e6.
Lets the bishop out and... yep, right, cool. Anthony,
Yep.
are we going to grab our pawn back?
Yes we are.
Why? Is he threatening to defend it? Is he threatening to defend it?
No, not really. The other move I'm thinking of now is maybe...
Knight better on e5 or c4?
e5.
What do you think of? Pinning the knight now that...
Yeah, now I'm
Bishop,
thinking...
Bishop g5, you're saying?
Maybe. The problem with it is then he could pin our knight on c3.
But why do you want your bishop on g5? Are you going to take his knight?
Not necessarily.
I don't think you're going to take his knight, are you? No.
No. Not unless his queen moves.
It probably leaves your queen side a bit loose.
Yeah, it does.
But even if you double pawns, it's going to chase your
The
knight
other
away.
reason behind pinning the knight
Topalov
is...
plays a pretty good move here.
Wait, well, I was thinking with the idea of pinning the knight. Yep.
Topalov plays a pretty good move here that I don't think most people would play, that has a different idea. Not bishop g5. Could, for instance, play e3 and just consolidate that capture on c4. Maybe you want to take it with the bishop. Is there another thought? Any other plan? Or Andrew, can you help him? Is there a move you might be scared of here? Anthony, tell me when it appears on your screen.
I'll tell you when. Ah, of course. He wants to put his pawn on e4. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. He's played f3.
Yeah. So what do you think of that as a plan?
It's very good. He wants to put his pawns in the middle of the board. He wants to play e4.
It's very good, yeah. Yeah. So this is the sort of thing you get from trying to guess the moves of the champion players. Because you work out your normal g5 or 3 or whatever, and then they come up with this you haven't thought of, and then it dawns on you, hey, what a brilliant idea. So this is how we learn. Okay, Andrew, we've played f3. What are you going to do about it? Are you worried, or just keep developing and hope for the best?
Yes, but can you wait 2 minutes?
Or are you
I think Andrew seems to have disappeared for a second. Yeah,
no,
I think.
No, I'm here.
Well,
I'm thinking.
He's thinking.
Right, he won't you here?
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm just thinking.
No, we need talking, not thinking.
Oh.
We don't want thinking. We want talking. You can
talk
while you think. So what would be your candidate move? Would you play knight d7 maybe? Bishop b7, bishop b4? Any thoughts?
How about
There's a lot of moves
bishop
to choose from.
b4? How about bishop b4?
Bishop b4 is possible. That is possible, but a move will appear on your screen in a second.
Aidan suggested knight saving the knight on f6.
Yeah.
So
saving it, it's not attacked.
I might suggest. Oh, that was my suggestion. He's stolen my move.
c5 doesn't count unless you mention it.
So my thoughts were that we should.
c5's interesting. It's probably a bit risky.
Well, my thoughts were that when White's playing f3 and aiming for e4 to get his pawns in the centre of the board, it's all very nice and strong in the centre and all, but he still hasn't castled. So I'm going to sort of play for a quick attack in the middle of the board, and try and take advantage of his king being uncastled.
Yeah, well, it's weakened his dark. f3 has weakened his dark squares, and d4 is a bit weak. So knight, which is normally on f3 protecting it, is now on e5. So you can understand why he played c5. So Topalov comes up with the normal reply e4, attacking the bishop.
We might just
now,
try
I
and
guess you could
pause here if that's okay, Robert, for just a
does that
moment.
come up on your screen now, David?
We'll just pause for a moment and wait for Aidan to. Aidan's just lagging behind a bit, and we've lost his sound. So let's just see how we're going. All right, Aidan's back again. That's good. Yep.
I don't know where Andrew and Anthony have gone.
I've just muted them for the time being, I think.
Them, or is there a problem with that?
I'll unmute them again in a second. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. All right. I played e4. Topalov played e4. And now you've got to choose probably between moving the bishop back to g6 or c takes d4. And Anne's playing safe, so bishop g6 looks like the safe non-tactical option, which is what he did. So now white to play.
I think I'll play bishop e3,
Hearing some
defending my pawn.
I don't think I've got bishop e3. Very good, Mr. Topalov. You got one right there. Developing a piece and defending the attack pawn. So that was good. Andrew, are you with us?
Yeah.
Or are you still off?
No,
Andrew,
no.
Are you there?
Am I
Yep.
here?
All right. He just played bishop e3. Yeah.
Did he?
It's your turn to
That's
move.
not
What are you going to
nice.
do?
I'm going to.
He's threatening to take on your c5 now.
I'll eat the d pawn.
Eat the d pawn. Very good.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Queen takes.
Anthony, you're taking with the queen or the bishop?
Queen.
Queen takes. Good. Okay. Andrew, do you want to swap queens or develop a piece or what?
I'll hit the
Remember, you're
queen
playing
with
solidly.
my knight. I'm going to hit the queen with my knight.
But hang on. Don't I then take it and mess up your pawn structure? I can play knight takes c6 and you take me with the pawn and then you've got rotten pawn on c6. Maybe then I play queen takes c4, not swapping queens and attacking your pawn on c6.
I'm not going to move my knight to c6.
I think we'd better swap queens.
Yeah, I'll swap queens.
Yeah, no. We'll swap queens.
I think I'll
Remember,
take his
you're the world
queen.
champion, you're playing solidly. Yep, good thinking. Alright, so we just have bishop takes d4. Now, Andrew, what would you do here? You're going to play the bishop b4 thing again? Or something else? Looks like your c4 pawn's a goner, because it's attacked twice and defended once. What move are you thinking of?
Can I give some input?
Yep.
I do remember this move. I remember him playing a very strange-looking move. It defies all logic until you actually look through it. It's very strange.
Strange.
Sounds like a knight a6.
All right, maybe I'll just play it.
Knight
Yeah,
a6 is
good
pretty
idea.
illogical.
No, it's even stranger. It's coming up on your screen.
Knight
Tell me when
takes
it's come up
e4.
on your screen.
No, he plays even stranger than that, Andrew.
No.
Bishop a3.
Knight d7.
No. Not knight on
Oh.
f6 already developed rather than the other one.
Oh, that's
So-
pretty strange.
Andrew, that's not a move we would have thought of. Now that we've seen it, we should try and work out why has he done that. So give me an idea, any thoughts on why he would have that already developed knight a second time?
I would
Disagreeing with all our
assume,
beginner rules.
I'd assume it's to hit his knight, obviously. And because he wants to eat. No.
Any idea?
I think he wants to go knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, and then knight c6.
Do you have any idea why he did it?
Yeah, I think he wants to get rid of white's strong knight in the center and bring both his knights out.
Yeah,
so,
well,
like, yeah.
But there's also another reason.
He wants to play bishop
It
c5.
clears the f6 square. No.
Or for him to play f6.
Would be relevant to both knights. But using this knight, it's cleared the f6 square, so he may want to play pawn to f6, control e5, and maybe get the white squared bishop back to f7 or something. That might be the other reason why he did it.
All right, we seem to be losing. Yes, we seem to be losing a lot of sound quality with those guys open all the time. So I might take over for them. So Robert, it's you and me now. You okay with that?
You and me. Okay. Oh, yes, yes. I'm up against stronger opposition. That's the only trouble. So you want to be Topalov or Anand, or we'll just discuss it? So
we can just talk through it. That's fine. We'll just talk through it because the sound's pretty bad.
So where are we at now? We played knight takes d7, knight takes d7.
Okay, that doesn't come up on my
White
screen.
obviously just plays bishop takes c4, getting his pawn back. So I thought this was interesting. So
we're just going to have to wait for a few minutes, try and get everybody's sound back. Let's just hold for a second, Robert, because we've got to wait for the screen to catch up. We seem to have lost a bit of sound as well as visual. We're losing everything at the moment. This has not been a good night. Sorry, guys. Slowly catching up. All right, how are we going now? You with me, Robert? Are you with me, Robert? Anthony, you're here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. All right,
Yeah.
Anthony's back. We're all back. Sorry, Anthony.
Right, so we're ready to... Yep. You can hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all back. Sorry, Anthony. I'm just going to leave you off.
How would you evaluate this position?
All right, we'll give Anthony a shot. All right.
Oh, all right.
Go on, Anthony.
Give him a go. All right. Anthony,
Okay.
evaluate this position for me.
Okay, let's see. It is...
White better, black better, or is it even?
I first think that white's better because he's got more central control. His king does look rather open, but I don't see... Yeah, I don't see any reason why he would need to castle. The queens aren't on the board. There's no real tactics happening.
Yeah, he could just move his king up somewhere if he wanted.
Yeah, and then bring the other rook out.
Okay.
First of all, it's black's move, but I think white's just ahead here.
Okay, because of his central control.
Yeah.
He is also ahead in development, is he
Yes,
not?
he is. Yes, he is. He's way ahead in
Maybe
development.
1 to 2 moves. He's 1 to 2 moves ahead in development. All right. Question: What do you think about the light-squared bishop for black?
I don't like it much at all. Well, I like it because I'm playing for white, but I don't like it for him. Well,
Yeah,
it's not
so
doing anything. It's hitting my pawn on e4, and it's blocked in by its own pawns. It's going to take a few moves for it to get out. You can't do anything.
At the moment, it's sort of like locked out of the game on the queen side. So if white is able to get some action happening on the queen side, he's in effect going to be a piece up over there. Wouldn't you say?
Yep.
Because that black bishop's out of the play on g6. So I think that's the critical thing. So let's see how it goes. Black's go. Now you're probably threatening knight b5. So
yeah, so he plays a6.
And then plays a6 to stop that. So what are you going to do now?
Well, I developed one of my rooks. Put my rook on the open. No, I'll put my rook on the open file. Put my rook on the open file. Rook c1.
All right. Very good, very good. So that's planning ahead. Hopefully your rook can get into c7 or support some advance on the queen side.
Yeah, again it's using the idea of we're attacking on the queen side.
Yeah. Now this next move is very interesting too, and I gather is a new move. So black wants to complete his development. He's falling behind in development. The obvious piece to move is his dark squared bishop. But as soon as he moves it, his g-pawn's gone. So what can he do? He can play pawn to e5 to block that diagonal, but that concedes the d5 square, and white's going to pop a knight or something strong on that square. It's no good. So do you remember the sneaky move he came up with? Well, you're muted now as well. All right, I'll show you the sneaky move that Anand came up with, which was rook g8. So I'll wait a second for that to appear on your screen. That's the move that you can see the logic of it once you've seen it played, because that now frees the bishop to develop. David, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Or are you playing technical person?
I haven't seen that move before. That's an unusual move.
Do you want to talk to me then? No. That's a weird move. It means he can't castle, but once he gets his bishop out, he can just play king e7 and it's all pretty rosy. So what do you reckon white should do? Because when you're ahead in development, you've got to do something pretty quickly, or otherwise the other guy will catch up.
Yes, so I would...
Anything exciting we can...
my immediate thoughts is to try and
what do you think?
Launch my king forwards and get my king into like king e2 and try and put my other rook into the game. But if we want something more immediate than that, the other option...
Is there any other option you looked at?
Well, the other thing I'm thinking about is trying to get my f-pawn to f5, which would annoy his bishop on g6, which is worst placed piece. So sort of a g4.
Right, but you're going to need a bit of control to do that.
So those are my immediate thoughts.
The trouble is he can always play e5 if you weaken the position with g4 maybe. The move he actually played is probably appearing on a screen near you shortly. He played h4. Does that come up now?
Oh, we just got to give it a moment.
Yes, it takes a long while, doesn't it? Strange. But obviously he's threatening h5, picking up the bishop, and that's gaining him space on the king side. So that's possibly a reasonable move.
Yep, we've got that now.
Get on your screen now?
Yep.
Okay. So what would you do in reply?
So now Black's, we'll see if Andrew can jump in on this one as well to help us out. Obviously Black's got to save his bishop. Andrew, what are you going to do to save your bishop?
Save my bishop.
I'm threatening h5 winning your poor bishop. So what do you think will be the best way out?
I'll play h6. h6.
What move
And then
are you
I'll run away.
looking at?
h6. Hello. H6.
Yep. All right. So Andrew suggested h6. I'd say there's only 3 moves that you can even consider: h6, f6, or h5, which save the bishop. I wouldn't be playing h5 because it puts your bishop into a really horrible position, blocked by your pawns. I'd be more likely to play f6.
Well, can I tell you something? All right, can I tell you something interesting? As h6 probably has appeared on your screen now, which is what Anand played. But in 2 games later, he played h5.
Wow.
As his improvement.
Okay.
Gave him a bit more space and stopped the g4 pawn going to g4. But then that meant that the pawn on h5 had to be defended, and so Topalov sneakily played knight e2, threatening knight f4, attacking the bishop, stuffing up the pawns, and the bishop can't go to h7 because then the pawn on h5 would drop. So it was interesting comparing the 2 games and then coming up with that improvement. Anyway, in this game, h6, and then he played king e2, which was your other thought. So he's cleared his rooks. He's ahead in development by 2 moves now. Do you think e2 is better, David, or perhaps f2?
I'd be staying on the white squares, so playing king e2. That'd be my preference, because Black's bishop on f8, if it comes into the attack, is going to be on the black squares, and I've got all my pawns on white squares, so I'll keep my king on white squares, please.
Quite a few people thought f2 would be better, so we'll have a look, see how we go. All right, Black now has a fairly obvious developing move, which is bishop d6. A nice spot for the bishop. He's controlling all these weak and dark squares down on g3 and f4 and everything. Okay. That's come up on your screen, David?
No, not yet. We just have to... It's very slow today, very slow. All right, here we go.
Slow, isn't it?
Yep.
Shocking. All
We're
right, let me know when it's there.
We're up now.
Bishop d6.
Yep.
So that's a good spot for the bishop. Yeah, so remember, when we're developing our pieces, we should try and put our pieces on good squares. So Black's got 1 bishop on a good square and 1 bishop on a lousy square. So Topalov wants to annoy that bishop on the lousy square, so his next move is pawn to h5 to drive that bishop back even further and gain himself a bit more space on the king side. And then the bishop has to drop back to h7. Then it's a little bit hard to think up something to do. But as I said before, if you look on the queen side, White's got an extra piece. So in terms of working out where you should attack, White should be trying to do something on the queen side. You got any thoughts, David? What we could
he's got
have a look at, or we just bring a rook in, maybe?
You've got a rook, knight, and bishop on the queen side against just a rook. So we've got to work out. Normally you'd try and work out a way to attack the weakest point, which at this game looks like b7. So how do we find a way to attack the pawn on b7? Maybe pawn to a5 and stop the pawn from moving forwards first.
We tie it, that's right. That's what he did. He played pawn to a5, so he's tied down that weak pawn, or potentially weak pawn on b7, and gained lots of space. But that pawn itself may be weak. So that was interesting. Right, obvious move for Black next.
Well, we've just got to wait for the chessboard to catch up again.
Yeah, right. Still thinking. Actually, there's an obvious move and a non-obvious move. There's like two candidate moves here. Does it appear now?
First, yeah, we've just seen A5. The two moves that spring to my mind.
A5. All right.
Would be King E7 or
what are you thinking of?
Rook C8 or King E7 would be the two moves that spring to my mind first up.
Yeah. The other move is Bishop B4, attacking that pawn and maybe forcing Rook A1 would be possible. But the move Anand chose was the simple one, just King E7. Got to be good. She's clearing the back rank for the rooks, and it's nice and safe and solid, and so everything's looking rosy. All right, now poor Mr. Topalov, we said he had a bit of advantage, but Anand's catching up quickly. So how can he get some action going? Any thoughts, David? We're going to do it on the queen side, obviously. We've got our extra piece.
Got to try and get some stuff happening. We could play Knight A4 and start getting a bit more space for your rook on the C file.
Yep, very good. That's what he did. Knight A4. So clearing out the way for that rook potentially invading at some stage in the future. So Anand replies with an interesting move, pawn to F6. Have they appeared on your screen?
We haven't quite got pawn to F6 yet. I've got the knight move. Yep, and now I've just seen pawn to F6 now.
So what do you think about F6? Because most people would have probably put a rook on the C file or something. Why would he have played pawn F6, do you think?
Well, he's looking to control E5 a bit more. I don't know whether he's planning to put his knight up on E5, maybe.
Yep. So he's given himself more control of that.
He's also freeing up his rook from...
Is there another reason?
Frees up his rook from G8 to move.
Yep, that's pretty obvious.
And
possibly... And final reason?
Possibly... I'm just trying to think of whether you want to play some...
Do you remember what we said was
like
Black's problem
G5.
in the position? What was Black's problem piece?
His bishop on H7.
He had a piece on it. That silly bishop on H7. So by playing F6, he's maybe telegraphing that he wants to drop his bishop back to G8 to F7, where it is now taking part in the game. So F6 is probably a pretty good move. It does all those three things. Okay, so how's your attack going on the queen side? What can we do?
What can we do to keep on moving forwards? Well, you could play Rook C2 and try and
rooks and stuff. But,
yep. Or you could play.
Yep, or put a rook on the D file maybe.
Yep, play Rook D1 or Rook C2. We could also play King E3 and just get your king a little bit closer to the middle of the board. You can also play Knight to B6 if you wanted to. B4, that's a good move. What are we doing there? Sacrifice something to get our rooks into the attack.
B4.
Great move.
Surprise, isn't it? Yeah, so he's sacrificing his B pawn and his A pawn, potentially, to get the rook in. So if bishop takes B4, rook would come to B1, bishop would take A5, and then rook would take B7, and white would have gambited a pawn, but he would have opened up the queen side, got his rook on the 7th rank. He can probably pick up the A pawn later on if he has to, or maybe do something about that knight on D7 that's now pinned.
Very active play.
I think my computer says it's only equal after the catch-up, but in terms of the match and the psychology, Topalov's, trying to get something moving and get a bit of an attack going. So that's a brave sort of move. Do you reckon Anand took it or did something different?
Well, if you're Anand and trying to play safe, then you'd want to just leave it and not risk the rooks coming in on the B file and attacking. So let's play a more defensive move like rook c8.
Sacrifice, it doesn't mean you have to take it.
So I'd play rook from g8 to c8 or something like that.
Is what he played. And remember that fits in with our plan of getting that bishop back to g8 as well. So our bishop's active. So that's probably not a bad move. Has that appeared on your screen now?
Yes, we've seen rook c8 now.
Touch wood. Okay, all right. Now here and then Topalov plays an interesting move, which again is sort of nearly a sacrifice but not quite. He plays bishop c5.
Okay.
Which hopefully is appearing on your screen.
Just about to see bishop c5.
What's your thought on that?
I'm just going to see if we can give Andreas a chance to say something here, because he was hoping to talk. I don't seem to be able to get him unmuted at the moment. So bishop c5 looks like trying to swap off his good bishop. We've got some people with some difficulties with hearing again. Bishop c5, yeah, trying to swap off that
if you take
black squared bishop.
Take back with the b pawn maybe.
And
then open. Yeah, so I won't play the moves on the board seeing they take forever, but if black were to play bishop takes c5, pawn takes c5, and then you can't play knight takes c5 because then Topalov's knight would jump into b6, forking the two rooks. Yeah, so that's the tricky tactic behind it. So what he has to do is he has to play bishop. Where am I? Yeah, bishop takes c5, and then Topalov plays b takes c5 back again, and now black can't take knight takes c5, as I said, so we can do some other move. Has it come up on your screen yet, David?
No, we're just waiting for that. But I'm sensing that white's going to have a strong square on b6. Let's see if I can unmute Anthony for a minute.
Yes, he's opened up the B file now to maybe get something moving.
Hello.
We've got Anthony here. Let's see how he's going. Anthony,
I'm going very well.
What are your thoughts on this position?
Big advantage,
My first thought was it looks like you're dropping a pawn. It looks like you're dropping a pawn. I'd like to go into why doesn't the bishop take c5, and after b takes c5, knight takes c5.
Because of knight b6.
Of course.
Hello, Anthony.
Yes?
How are we going, Anthony?
Very good, very good. So what's... Well, hang on. Doesn't this force the trade of bishop for bishop? Because otherwise you'd be getting...
Anand with your extra piece on the queen side?
Well, I'm not creaming him, but...
Nowhere near his bishop.
Well, I'm not creaming, but I'm not doing too badly at all.
Yeah, it looks like Topalov's trying hard to get in on the queen side and making some progress. So David,
I still think we should trade off.
Well, it's black's go now. So what would be a good defensive move for black?
So have you played bishop takes c5 or not yet?
Yes, it should have appeared on your screen.
No, we're still waiting for bishop c5.
Oh, God. I did it like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, try go into the actual site, and so we can see the site, like, that you actually have the game. Maybe it'll be faster that way.
No, it's a screen sharing issue, Anthony. That's not going to...
Okay.
Yeah, that's not going to help.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we've finally caught up.
Well, tell me when it's appearing.
Right, we've finally caught up. Yep. So
we played bishop takes c5, b takes c5.
Yep.
So the defensive move for black.
We're going to have to start defending our weak pawn on b7. So
played it on the screen, so I've got to say it quickly to beat the screen.
No, the screen's caught up. We've already seen rook c7.
So it's a pretty obvious move then. Rook c7. That looks all right. Okay, Anthony, you're still with us? So what do you want to do to keep your attack going here?
Knight b6.
Maybe he's going to build up on knight b6. Looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So we put our horse in on b6. Okay. David, you reckon we take it or move our rook?
I think that we would, well, if we take it, we give, we at least close the B file, although we give white that advanced pawns. And the other option is to move your rook. You play rook B8.
He's got his pawns on black squares and our pawns on white squares.
Yep. So probably rook D8 is
safer and more an end.
Yeah, rook D8 is probably the move that that he wants to play. Just move his rook out of the way.
Yep. Rook D8 is correct. Okay, very good. I've made that move, so hopefully it's coming to a screen near you. Anthony, what are you going to do after rook D8?
Well, if his knight wasn't attacking c5, I'd leave his knight there.
He's in trouble.
Yes, that's why I'm thinking I actually have to take the knight.
Your c5's attacked twice. So
yeah, which is why I'm attacking. I will take the knight.
Have to take it, don't we?
Take the knight and then move the bishop out the way so the rook defends the pawn.
Right. And how? All right. So David, we can take back with either rook. Which rook do you reckon's the go?
Oh, I'm gonna choose to take back with the rook from the C file and double up on the D file, try and get some counterattack.
Okay, Anthony,
that's
is
not
that
much.
You, or you have a reply to that?
That doesn't sound a lot like NN to me. That sounds more like David Cordova.
Yeah,
I reckon NN wants to.
So
well, hang on.
Good for him or good for you?
If it was NN playing defensively as he does, he'd probably take back with the rook on D8.
All right. Well, you refute David, and then we'll go back to an ant. So David's taken with the C rook, threatening rook D2 check, perhaps. So, have you got a good counter to that or not?
Hang on, C takes.
What about C6 as an idea?
That's what I'm looking at now.
C6,
yeah, I quite like
C6. D2 check.
Yeah. The other option is thinking of.
And he's in.
You could play rook C2 to stop that.
You could also play rook to D1.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like wanting to trade off all the
rooks.
And I don't like that for white.
But hang on.
Yep.
You swap off all the rooks. Why don't you like that for white? Explain that to me.
Because I've got all my pawns on white squares, and that would just hinder my bishop.
White?
It leaves my bishop on the same colour as my
pawns. On the
pawns.
king side. Your bishop on C4.
Yep.
Isn't he tied down to his E6 pawn, and his B7 pawn is on white square, and his A6 pawn is on a white square? So it is like better for you.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe you can chuck in a C6. He takes with the B pawn, then you play bishop takes A6. Yep.
Yeah, that's possible.
So I think that's why Anand didn't do it that way. He did it with the D rook, because I think he was worried about that exchange. So now your brilliant move here. He's played rook D when it appears on your screen. Takes D7, and he's now after your C pawn again. So Anthony, what can we do?
Well, I want to move my bishop out the way so my rook defends the pawn, but I think the logical place is to put it on D3, so I still have the option of playing C6.
Yep, good, excellent. Bishop D3, that's what he played. Okay. David, do you want to suggest something for black after bishop d3 if it's appeared on your board?
Well, we're still waiting for that one to show up. Right, we've got bishop to d3.
One day.
Yep, we've got that here. Yep, so he's retreated his bishop to d3, so black could play rook d4. Assuming his rook trying to get round behind the pawns.
He could.
You could play bishop g8 is the other candidate move, getting your bishop finally in. Sorry, bishop g8 would be another candidate move, getting your bishop into the
game. Yep.
Game. And
I was even looking at maybe rook c6 just to block that. So it means your D pawn's only defended once. The move he actually chose was bishop g8. So that's fitting in with our theme of trying to get that bishop back into the game. He's been doing c6 and moving his rook out and everything. Okay, so black played bishop g8. So Anthony, back to you.
I think I should play c6 while I still have the chance.
Yes, good stuff. Right. Now it looks like you're getting in. Now explain to me why you want to play c6, apart from attacking a rook and stuff. Why does that look like it could be a good move?
Well, it could give me an outside pass pawn on a5.
Yes. So if the b pawn swaps for the c pawn, at some stage you can take that pawn on a6, and then maybe pawn endings are a win for you, maybe bishop and pawn endings are a win for you, because you've got the outside pass pawn. So that looks really good. So David, if you're an and, are we panicking here, or is there a way we can get out of it?
Well, you aren't forced to take it. You can just play rook d6 or rook d4 still, and then if he takes your b pawn, you'll lose your a pawn, but maybe your rook gets. Or if you play rook d6, your a pawn's protected even.
So Anthony, if he played, say, b takes c6, what would your next move be?
Probably bishop takes a6. But I'm wondering whether that's a bit premature. No, that's fine.
Move. Yep. There is another move. What about rook c5 first? So you can probably take that a pawn any time, and that rook then holds back his c pawn and defends your a pawn.
Yeah, double the rooks on the c file.
And then take it.
Then you keep your pawn.
That would be much better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than just grabbing it straight away. Yep. So it's the old thing of when you see a good move, look for a better move. But the bad news is that Anand's playing just as well as David is, and he played rook d6, which is a move I didn't think of much. I thought of the obvious ones of taking it with either the rook or the pawn. But when you see rook d6, you think, yes, he's trying to take that c pawn now, and he's forcing to swap c for b, and it sort of opens it all up and swaps off a pawn, and defensively that looks like a much better move. So maybe that's why he's world champion. Okay, so now you've pretty well got to take the pawn.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're dropping it. And he takes back. Then it's getting fairly even because the pawn structure is all balanced now, and black has his mobile rooks. The only problem he's got is that weak pawn on a6, and he's got to get his bishop in still. So what happened was rook c3. Is it caught up to that or close to it?
We haven't quite got rook c3 yet, but we're getting close.
Right, Anthony, when it plays rook c3, what do you think Anand might...
Yep, so we've got rook c3 in now.
Well, Anand will probably bring his bishop further in.
Yeah.
He'll probably want to bring his bishop closer.
Yeah. Is that a good move? Why is that a good move?
Well, for one, it ties down White's rook on h1, so the defensive defensive pawn, the pawn on h5, and it also allows you the option, yeah, and the possibility, not necessarily we're going to do that, but the possibility of going back to e8 to get out of that corner. It basically gives us more flexibility.
Yep. Read well done. Yep. And Topalov replied King E3. So getting out of that check on B2 and stopping David's Rook D4 and just controlling some of the black squares.
Looks like he's doing a bit of waddling.
And then yeah, we're both doing a bit of waddling now. Anand drops back Bishop E8. So he's finally getting his bishop into the game. He could have played pawn E5, I would have thought would be the obvious move, but maybe he didn't want to weaken that E5 square. And Topalov now played G4.
So he can move his rook.
Consolidating that pawn on H5. So he can move his rook, obviously. Then Anand plays E5. So now it's all looking pretty good. It's very important in bishop when you've got one colour bishop and you've lost the other chap, to put your pawns on the opposite colour. So Anand's doing really well. He's got his pawns on black square on the king side and a white square bishop. So if it came down to an ending on that side of the board, Anand would be in no danger of losing his pawns to Topalov's bishop, whereas on the C file, and Anand just then played a simple little move, bishop D7, because he's got everything protected now, he doesn't really have to hurry.
We're a few moves behind on the screen, Robert.
Rook C5. Oh, it's still going. Okay, I'm
Yep.
trying to go slowly, but...
That's all right. I'll just play Rook C5 and let's see...
Bishop D7, that's... Yeah, Rook C5, which is a pretty nothing move as well, because there's not much to do now. And then, is it caught up to Rook C5?
Oh, no, we haven't seen Rook C5, we just saw E5. We haven't... Waiting for Rook C5. Bishop... Yeah, we've got now Bishop B5 on the screen. Rook C1.
Yeah, now Bishop B5, because he wants to swap off. So if Anand's going for a draw, you swap off as much as you can. And they exchange bishops. So black's now got to pass B pawn, but white's got to pass A pawn. That's appeared.
But black can't keep his pawn very easily. Rook B1 really pretty much kills it.
Threatening it. Yep, except that it can move. So it moves down to B4. So what would you do about that? So he's pushing his passed pawn.
Stop it from moving again?
Let's just play one set, sort of passed pawns must be pushed. Yep, very good. So you would do Rook B3 to stop it.
I don't like it moving.
Yep, that ties it down to B4, so it's now a target. So what, you're going to perhaps double attack on that pawn at some stage?
Yep.
So black plays Rook A6, so he's attacking your pawn. So he's saying pawn for pawn. Topalov can play King D3, saying I'll bring my king over first so I can snaffle the pawn and get a pawn up. But the way to avoid that is Anand doubles his rooks on the A pawn. So he's giving up his B pawn, but he's getting the A pawn. So they just swapped and took a pawn each. And then they swapped a pair of rooks.
What was the purpose behind swapping the rooks?
Rook and 4 pawns versus rook and 4 pawns. Oh, well, it's just a clear dead draw now. But this is the interesting part. Apparently they played on and they had triple repetition. And I was reading about it saying, why didn't one of them just offer a draw? And before this match, Topalov has apparently said he is not going to offer any draws and he's not going to accept any draws, which is fairly amazing. It puts an interesting sort of psychological pressure on Anand. So the only way Anand's going to get a draw is if he has triple repetition. So when they want a draw, they have to virtually agree to repeat the position 3 times, which they've now done in, I think, 2 or 3 of their games to get a draw. What do you think of that, Anthony? It's a bit strange, isn't it?
Well, in this particular position, White didn't have to do a 3-fold repetition. He could, well, I personally think if the game is a draw, you try and force a win and you'll lose. So I'd prefer to draw a game than lose a game.
Totally draw now, but to say... But for a top grandmaster in a world championship match to say, I am not going to ever offer a draw and I'm not going to ever accept a draw, that's really weird. Whether it's an insult to Anand or putting him under extra pressure. It's like the famous match between Lasker and Tarash, where before the match Tarash says, I am only going to say 2 words to Herr Lasker, check and mate. But unfortunately didn't get the same very often. So that's the only parallel I can have to it.
Yeah, sounds like...
Well, that's the end of that game. It was a fairly boring draw, but I think you can still get a few points out of it where they make a move clearly that you hadn't anticipated, which happened a few times, like that F3 move in the opening, and Anand's way of getting the bishop back into play, and that sort of thing. So I think we can still learn things from those sort of matches, and certainly I would recommend to everyone that they pop onto the internet when they get a chance. If they're not up at 10 o'clock at night, get up the next morning or when you get home from school or something, look it up and just play through it move by move and give yourself a few seconds to try and guess each move and then compare it with their moves. So I think that's the way to improve. So that's the end of the lesson for today.
Thanks, Robert.
When's the next one, David?
We've got another lesson tomorrow with Carl. Yeah, we've got another lesson tomorrow with Carl. I'm also, we'll put the website for everybody if they want to go to the website for Anand Topalov. I've just sent that website as a chat through to everybody, so you know where to go to check out the rest of those games. We did run a bit over time tonight because the recording, the audio was a bit ordinary, so let's apologise for that, and hopefully everyone can go and have their dinner now, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for Carl's lesson. Thanks, everyone.